నమస్తే. ఇవాళ జర్మనీ దేశం నుంచి ఒక ప్రత్యేకమైన వ్యక్తి వచ్చారండి. ఆయన పేరు జెన్. ఆయన బెర్లిన్ విశ్వవిద్యాలయంలో ఒక విద్యార్థి. ఆయన చదువుతున్నది సంస్కృతం గురించి. సంస్కృత భాష, ప్రాకృతము ఇటువంటి ప్రాచీన భారతీయ భాషల గురించి తెలుసుకోవడం కోసం ఆయన భారతదేశానికి వచ్చారు. ఆయన ఈ సందర్భంగా అలంపూర్, మహాబలిపురం మొదలగు ప్రదేశాలని సందర్శించడానికి వెళ్ళబోతూ హైదరాబాద్లో ఒకరోజు బస చేశారు. ఆ సందర్భంగా ఆయనతో మనం కొంతసేపు ముచ్చటించుదామా? నమస్తే Chen.
Namaste.
So what brings you here to Hyderabad?
Well, I'm here for visiting certain archaeological sites in the southern part of India, in Andhra Pradesh predominantly. And yeah, this is actually the purpose of my being here.
So you belong to which country?
I'm German.
Okay. So what is your primary interest of visiting India?
My primary interest in India actually was the Sanskrit, first of all. And now I'm interested in seeing actually the ancient sites, also where inscriptions are, for example, ancient temple architecture. And this is my main interest, actually. Yeah.
So why are you interested in knowing about the ancient inscriptions in India?
I have to say that history is a interesting topic for me, and I think that also the Indian history is very important because India was a very great country.
Okay.
And yeah, one has to study it. And I think that in the West, at least, the study, which you call Indology, is probably mainly concerned with northern India, and so some parts of southern India, apart from Tamil probably, are not so well studied, and so this is a good thing to do actually.
Okay, so they missed over the other parts of southern India. So you say the Indology consists of Tamil Nadu and northern India basically.
Yeah, I would say that there's not so much
about Telugu?
Done about Telugu inscriptions probably, in the West at least. Yeah.
Why do you think India is great? You just said India is a great nation.
Well, it is a great country.
Okay.
So there are certain things that I like about India.
Okay.
But I mean, it is a very important country with an important culture, and like every part of the world has some good culture that it can share with the whole world, and this is the same with India as well. Right?
Okay, what do you find special about India?
Special is that India is culturally very different from at least Western Europe.
Okay.
And you can see a real different culture here with a long, different history. Because like Hinduism has been maintained. I mean, it's changed probably over the time, but it has been maintained in India for thousands of years.
Okay.
And so this is a really interesting thing to be here.
So for its long standing for so many centuries in spite of so many invasions, it still exists in India.
Yeah, it's still existing.
India. So have you read any scriptures related to Hinduism?
I attended some courses where we read inscriptions of the Rashtrakutas, for example, emperors. They're mainly like royal inscriptions, dealing with the genealogy of the rulers and so on. So I haven't read like inscriptions where the Hinduism was concerned. Normally these are like donation inscriptions. Like for example, we have a bronze plate or copper plate, and then something like a village was given to a Brahman. And the Brahmana then has to do the rituals and maintain all the...
So it's basically about the rituals and the other things you were interested in. You could understand a little bit of it from the inscriptions you've read.
Yeah.
And what else about Vedas?
Yeah, well, so this is just a tiny bit, of course. India is huge. And one cannot study everything.
Okay, I understand, of course.
So if you like study Indology, actually what you study is just a tiny, tiny bit of what you could study. And it depends on what university you are in, what you study. For example, there is modern Indology, you learn some Hindi, you will be dealing with modern history and so on. But I'd say that mostly Indology is concerned with Sanskrit, but not with inscriptions. Mostly you're reading texts, like the Veda, but the Veda is not so common actually. Mostly like Upanishads, and
okay.
some Kavya,
Okay.
Mahabharata, Ramayana. So I think these are the basic things.
So I would like to know what really is so interesting about these Sanskrit scriptures and why Germans especially are interested in this.
Historically, there was the Romantic movement in Germany in the 19th century, and people would have very positive associations with India.
Okay.
And also, like for example, the comparative Indo-European linguistics came up also in Germany at that time, and so people would think that India and Sanskrit and Sanskrit culture, so to speak, has a connection with German culture. By that, a lot of chairs for Sanskrit were installed in
Okay,
Germany.
and which year was that? I mean,
This was in the 19th century. Actually, it began in the early 19th century,
Okay.
and it came in the middle 19th of the 19th century. A lot of chairs were created, actually. And nowadays, these chairs are there.
Okay.
Nowadays, I would say that a lot of students have interest in Indology or India because they visited the country, they went here, and they found it great.
Okay.
And so they want to study more about it. And mostly they are interested, I think, in the modern history or modern culture and so on, modern languages. But there are still some people doing Sanskrit, for example.
So these places were created in German universities in the late part of the 19th century.
Yeah, in the 19th century, also later, of course.
Okay.
But this is the reason, I think, why the interest was there, because you had this linguistic affiliation between German on the long run and, of course, Sanskrit.
Sanskrit. Right. Do you find any similarities between German and Sanskrit?
I think one of the most common example is the term for father.
Okay.
But also English, of course, is also connected, right?
Yeah,
because it's a Germanic language. So you have father in English, Vater in German, and you have the root Pitr in Sanskrit. And you have the corresponding of P and F.
Yeah.
And you find this everywhere. Like, for example, also with Pritsch, like in, I don't know, Pritschami I asked, or Pritsche he asked. And forschen in German, for example, which is actually the same. It means to inquire or to research.
Okay. Even mother and matra, they're also.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So you have these equivalences according to sound rules.
Okay.
And this was discovered in the late 18th century, and this was then brought into these rules in the 19th century. And I think this is the reason why there was so great interest into India and Sanskrit. Okay.
Do you think there is any link to scientific theories in ancient Indian scriptures? I mean, something you can relate to the modern science?
Like, well, there are mathematics. Taught in ancient texts, but actually I'm not a mathematician, so I cannot judge this. Astronomy, of course.
Astronomy.
And I think that you can use probably some astronomical observations for dating. This could be possible, dating texts probably. But actually I'm not a pundit or something like that.
I understand, but what is just general understanding, like what you've learned in the universities about some kind of a link, and what really interested them? It is just the Romantic movement that took place in Europe, or anything more than that?
No. It's now it is a historical interest. In those
historical
texts,
interest.
Right? And I mean, of course, there's a lot of philosophy also to learn, and a lot of people would be interested in how they can lead their lives, and well, ancient Indian texts are also a good choice to look for.
To conduct one's life in the
for
right
example,
way.
And there's a lot to learn about how to conduct spirituality, for example. And of course, if you, probably this is the entrance very often, and then you can have all the other interesting things. But I cannot tell really about a connection about the ancient knowledge of India and modern science. Sometimes this is done like with modern astronomy or so, but I cannot really.
Okay. So which places are you going to visit?
So I'm going to Alampur and to Mahabalipuram near Chennai, and to some places in between, but I'm not so sure to what places I'm going.
So why Alampur?
There are interesting and quite ancient temples there from the Chalukya period. And of course, Mahabalipuram has also a lot of temples, some inscriptions, and I can see them. And probably take a picture also.
Okay, you're planning to go to Alampur and Mahabalipuram.
Yeah, this is the greater route and some places in between them.
So you're interested in the inscriptions. And what is basically why those inscriptions?
Basically, actually, because they're here. This is just a general overview. I just want to see a little bit what is here and what can be a field of study in future. Like, for example, I'm only in this project like for 3 months now. This is totally the beginning phase, and one has to just have an overview of what is there and so on.
So what are you expecting to see there?
Hopefully some good inscriptions, because sometimes they are a little bit withered. And the temples, of course, and just see the architecture of the temples. Yeah, and some nice landscape, actually.
Nice landscape?
Nice landscape, yeah. Actually, I like it very much here. I was very much positively, I thought it very positive to have this green color everywhere. It is very, very green and a lot of trees. I like it very much. Yeah.
Is this your first visit to this country?
No, but the first visit to Hyderabad and to the southern part. So I haven't been here before, and yeah, I like it very much here. Also, the people are very nice and helpful.
You've seen the northern India before?
Yeah, I was in northern India some couple of years ago.
So your field of interest is Prakrit, as you just said some time back? Prakrit.
I read some Prakrit inscriptions, but also the inscriptions is not my specialty or so. So when I studied like Indology, amongst others, because I was busy in other fields of study apart from Indology, but mainly it was Sanskrit, of course. And there we had also like Buddhist texts, for example, like Buddhist philosophical texts and so on. Normally, if you have the education of Indology and you learn Sanskrit, you have different fields where you can look into what text they are. It also depends from the professor, what interest the professor has. And yeah, so for example, sometimes you learn about Buddhist philosophical texts, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's more like Upanishads or other texts.
So you study both Prakrit and Sanskrit, right?
Yeah, this is the optimal to study Sanskrit and a little bit Hindi probably, and also Prakrit. But you have to, because it's a lot, you have to then focus on one thing. And a lot of people focus on Hindi and a few on Sanskrit. Yeah.
Can you just tell us the difference between Prakrit and Sanskrit that you just understood?
Prakrit is a little bit later. These are later stages of the language that is that you can find in the Rig Veda, more or less. And those dialects in the north, they continued to be Prakrit in different branches. And mostly the difference is that if you have a consonant cluster, so you have two different consonants, they are simplified into one long consonant.
In Sanskrit?
In Prakrit.
In Prakrit,
So for example, that you have something like Paksha becomes Pakka, or something like that. Yeah, so it's a simplification, but this is also observable, for example, in the transition from Latin to Italian. Yeah, we have like septem, and then you have setta, I think, in Italian or something like that. So this is basically the same. Yeah, also like Atma becomes Atta and so on.
So you think which is more complex, Sanskrit or Prakrit?
No, it's Sanskrit actually, because there's a simplification in the verbal system and also in the declension. So Prakrit is less complex, but it is also very complicated because very often there are not rules that pertain to all of the language. They're, you know, it's more like fluent, and it's very often written down as the people would speak, obviously. So this is also difficult. There's no standardized way of writing it, for example. Also.
So there are no set rules of grammar or anything for Prakrit?
No, there's not the... Well, there are some later grammars, basically concerned with Prakrits that you find in Kavya literature, for example.
Which Kavyas have you read?
Abhijnana Shakuntalam.
Abhijnana Shakuntalam by Kalidas.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, this is the probably most common
that
you can read.
So, how many Vedas have you studied?
We looked into the Rig Veda.
Okay.
Because, as I have to say that the education is, of course, not comparable to the classical Indian education, where you went like, for example, like 12 years or so to a guru, and then you have Sanskrit every day, and so on, right?
Yeah.
And you study the memorization of the and so on. Yeah. This is, of course, not comparable to that. Also, the purpose of the education is different.
Yes.
We are not there to explain it or so, right? In a spiritual manner.
Yes, yes.
So this is not the education. We cannot do that as Indologists. And you can specialize. Normally people, after a while, specialized, and I'm not specialized yet in a certain field. Normally people specialize, like, for example, in the Upanishads, or for example in the Vedas or so. And then, of course, they really studied it in depth. But you cannot say that. For example, also like the Mahabharata, also it's huge.
Yes.
If you want to really study it, you have to read it, and not only in translation, but probably in Sanskrit as well. So if you really want to be a scholar on the Mahabharata, you have to invest your life in it. You cannot just do it in the studies. It's not possible.
You have to read the original text to become a master.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you really have to spend a lot of time to do it.
So you've read a little bit of Rig Veda.
Yeah.
And what else? Mahabharata.
Yeah, we had exactly some Upanishads, some songs from the Rig Veda, a little bit Kavya, Mahabharata, of course, and then but from the Dharmakirti, certain texts and so on.
Okay. Yeah. What you found very fascinating among all the scriptures you read?
There are certain fascinating things. For example, in Ashoka inscriptions, for example, because he excuses himself sometimes for his behavior. This is actually, I think, something special. But mostly, like, inscriptions provide information just about the genealogy, what is donated, and so you can reconstruct history from those a little bit from those inscriptions, because they are not. I mean, you have Puranas and so on, but you don't have the genre of history that you want to have, like, for example, where you just write, okay, this happened and so on. Of course, this is always from a perspective of the writer as well. But exactly that genre you have, for example, in the Rajatarangini, but it's from the north. And so it is sometimes very hard to reconstruct history from texts or so. And so inscriptions can provide some crucial information to do it. Of course, there were archives, obviously. They had their archives, but I think they wrote it on palm leaves or so, and this is like...
Have you seen any palm leaves?
No, personally not. No. But I hope I can see them in future. I just saw scans and so on.
You're going to Anantapur, right?
To Alampur.
To Alampur. Alampur is close.
Yeah, it's very close. It's a few kilometers.
A few kilometers. Yeah, but I don't know, but there are certain these palm leaf scriptures in Kadapa. I don't know whether you have visited that place.
No, but I went to see some museums also.
Probably you can find some in Tamil Nadu also.
Yeah.
There's palm leaves. In certain places they're preserved.
Yeah, this is a problem because the palm leaves
they get
not
spoiled.
so permanent. And so you have to rewrite them every time. That's a problem. So inscriptions, this is the advantage of inscriptions. You have them written,
engraved,
and they are really from the time, and not a copy or so.
On the bronze plates or something.
They are bronze plates, mostly for donations, actually. So, and I think mostly they are brahmanas, and they were given like villages and certain rites to be able to do certain rituals that the king thought necessary for his empire, for example. But they're not very, so mostly, at least what I know, this is just a little bit. Mostly the inscriptions are not very exciting, but the information that is given is interesting because they provide the historical information that you can have for the older history, right? Sometimes you don't have other information. So.
So you're trying to find links between history and ancient languages. And
this is also what language is used, how language is used, and this is also, of course, interesting. For example, for the distribution of modern languages in India,
Okay.
You can study a lot if you want to. And for example, like what was the Prakrit used in a certain area at a certain time, for example. And you can, of course, then write a grammar or so and compare it to the forms used in other inscriptions and so on.
Okay. Yeah. Basically study of ancient Indian languages.
Yeah, exactly.
And also Telugu along with it.
Yeah, I'm studying, well, I'm trying to learn Telugu.
Okay.
And
the
also
ancient Telugu you said,
yeah,
right?
it's inscriptional Telugu.
Inscription.
It's a little bit different. So of course the script is different.
Okay.
And also the language has changed,
okay.
you have to say.
So where do you think you can find the source of this ancient Telugu? Which place have you been suggested to visit, to learn, or to get some information?
Oh, there are a lot of places here, and actually a lot of texts have been edited by Indian scholars, for example. And of course the aim is to, for example, they are bronze or copper plates, and they are very often kept in a museum. So you have to go to the museum, for example, if you want to see them. A lot of those plates have been edited. Some of them have been translated, but not all of them. So I hope to get into the ancient inscriptional language to also be able to translate it.
If somebody knows Sanskrit in Germany, I mean, how good is the person, like for any employment or anything in Germany?
So basically with the knowledge of Sanskrit, you can work at the university.
At the university.
Because if you, for example, study ancient Greek and Latin, you can work as a teacher at schools, because at every higher school you can learn Latin, and at some you can learn ancient Greek. Unfortunately not Sanskrit, or not yet, I don't know.
But it's only confined to the university level.
Yeah, it's confined to the university level, I have to say, yeah. Of course you can, if you studied like Indology and something else, something with media also, you can work, for example, for television, but or like in the knowledge sector, something like that. But I'm not sure whether the chances are very high to do that.
Like, how many, at least a good segment of people are interested in learning Sanskrit in Germany. So what could be the reason for this?
I think that a lot of people are interested in ancient languages from a linguistic point of view, and Sanskrit has one of the predominant places, because Sanskrit is very old. Sanskrit is beautiful in a way because you have a very nice system, like in the so-called ablaut system with the dhatus, and so Sanskrit has a high stand in Germany in regard to historical linguistics, for example, and a lot of people just want to be able to read ancient texts because they're interested in, for example, the religious component or the philosophical component. And a lot of people study Sanskrit without studying Indology. They just want to learn the language, for example, to be able to read texts, like also simpler things like mantras only. They want to understand it.
Why are they interested in the ancient texts of India?
Because they're interested in Indian religions. It depends. For example, the ISKCON is quite common in Germany. But also other people who are interested in Vedanta, for example. Some of those also want to be able to at least a little bit read those texts. But I have to say that you have to study a lot to read the
Bhagavad Gita is popular, so they want to learn more books like Bhagavad Gita
like Bhagavad Gita, for example. A lot of people want to be able to read the Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit as well. But on the professional level, it's very narrow. You can just work at a university.
Why is Sanskrit taught widely in Germany?
The tradition of teaching Sanskrit was born in the 19th century. In the early 19th century, for example, I think the University of Bonn introduced Sanskrit, or Indology, so to speak, in 1813 already. And there were two reasons. The one reason was a romantic movement where a lot of positive ideas existed about India, and then of course the historical linguistic component where they studied and compared like ancient languages, like German, of course, which is a modern language, but also Latin and ancient Greek and Sanskrit. And they saw the similarity and that you can have the sound laws and so on. And so this And this was I think, high time of the noon of Sanskrit studies, where a lot of money also was invested into it. Yeah.
What do you think inspires people to learn Sanskrit in Germany?
Oh, this is hard to say. I would say the interest in philosophy and religion. I would say and the linguistic interest. I think these are the two interests, because a lot of people who visited India, at least what I know, are interested in modern India.
Okay.
So, but there are people who are really interested in the philosophical texts and so on. Of course, a lot of texts were translated.
Do they want to read the original text?
Yeah, some people want to also read the original text, and they also then try to learn Sanskrit. Yeah,
so they can read the Mahabharata and the other things like.
Yeah.
That have been more popularized by ISKCON, as you said, right?
I would say that, yeah. Okay. So a lot of people would try to learn Sanskrit for the Bhagavad Gita, and it is very common there. But I have to say that, of course, there are not so many people. So probably in comparison, or relatively speaking, quite a lot of people are learning Sanskrit, but it's not a huge number in absolute numbers, right? Okay. Yeah, but there's a certain interest in Sanskrit, but I think there's a broader interest in India, in Indian like cinemas or whatever, right? Okay. Like the politics. So a lot of people would deal with those things, but they rely on English sources very often. Yeah.
Okay. So it was really interesting talking to you. I think there's so much to talk.
Thank you for having me.
Still, we have time as a restraint, and you have to go to Alampur, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's really nice talking to you. Can you say a few words in Telugu?
Well, I'm learning it, but Naku Telugu Bhasha Manchidi, probably something like that.
Telugu Bhasha.
No, I like Telugu very much, and I'm very happy to be able to learn it. I think it's a beautiful language, actually. Yeah, and I really want to learn it properly in future.
That's nice. Okay, for next time you see, you speak more fluent Telugu.
Yeah, I promise that.
Yeah, we'll have an interview in Telugu.
Okay.
So what brings you here to meet her?
Yeah, well, I have a friend in Germany, Madhan, he is Indian. And so he suggested me I should meet a very special person when I'm here in Hyderabad, right?
Thank you so much, and thanks to Madan also.
So how was your meeting, and what did you get to know from her?
Well, I get to know a very special person indeed, and I'm very thankful for the insight into Indian culture that I got from you. And the conversation is very nice, and I'm very glad to meet you. Really.
మన దేశానికి వచ్చి మన సంస్కృతి గురించి, మన ప్రాచీన భాషల గురించి తెలుసుకోవడానికి ఎంతో ఆసక్తిగా ఉన్న జెన్ గారిని సత్యవాణి గారు సన్మానించాలనుకుంటున్నారు. అతిథి దేవో భవ అనే పదానికి అర్థం కల్పించడం కోసం ఈరోజు జెన్ గారికి ఈ చిరు సన్మానం.
శతమానం భవతి శతమితి శతం దీర్ఘమాయుః దీర్ఘాయుష్మాన్ భవ. లాంగ్ లివ్ మిస్టర్ ఎన్.
ఇప్పుడు వారితో ముచ్చటించాం కదా, ఎన్నో ఆసక్తికరమైన విషయాలని ఆయన చెప్తుంటే విన్నారు కదా. అదే విషయాల్ని కొంత క్లుప్తంగా మన ప్రేక్షకుల కోసం చెప్తాను. ఆయన ఏమంటారంటే, జర్మన్ దేశంలో కొన్ని యూనివర్సిటీస్లో వాళ్ళు సంస్కృతాన్ని ప్రత్యేకించి నేర్చుకుంటూ ఉంటారు. అలాగే ఆయన ఎన్నో ఆసక్తికరమైన విషయాలు ప్రాకృతం గురించి, సంస్కృతం గురించి చెప్పారు. బహుశా ఆ విషయాలు చాలామంది భారతీయులకు కూడా తెలియవేమో అని నాకు అనిపిస్తూ ఉంది. ఆయన ఋగ్వేదం గురించి, తర్వాత ఉపనిషదుల గురించి ఎన్నో విషయాలు మనకు చెప్పారు. ఆయన ఇంకా నేను విద్యార్థినే, నాకు ఇంకా అంత పరిజ్ఞానం రాలేదని, కొంత మాత్రమే తెలుసని చెప్పినా ఆయన చెప్పిన విశేషాలు వింటుంటే భారతీయులందరికీ మన సంస్కృతి గురించి, మన ప్రాచీన భాషల గురించి తెలిస్తే చాలా తక్కువని అనిపిస్తుంది. ఆయన అంటారు, జర్మన్లు మరి సైంటిఫిక్ పరంగా కానివ్వండి, వాళ్ళ ఆటోమొబైల్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ కానివ్వండి, అవన్నీ కూడా చాలా అడ్వాన్స్డ్గా ఉంటాయి. వాళ్ళు ఎంతో పురోగతిని సాధించారు కొన్ని విషయాల్లో. అయినప్పటికీ వాళ్ళకి భారతీయ సంస్కృతి పట్ల అంత ఆసక్తి ఎందుకు ఉంది అని అడిగినప్పుడు జర్మన్లకి వాళ్ళ సంస్కృతిలో లేక ఆ ప్రాచీన పాశ్చాత్య సంస్కృతిలో వాళ్ళకి కావలసినటువంటి సమాధానాలు కొన్ని దొరకట్లేదు. వాళ్ళు ఎప్పుడు కూడా ప్రతి విషయాన్ని ప్రతి వస్తువుని చాలా గొప్పగా తయారు చేసినప్పటికీ కూడా వాళ్ళకి ఎక్కడో ఒక చోట అసంతృప్తిగా ఉంటున్నారు. సో అసంతృప్తిని పోగొట్టడం కోసం, తర్వాత జీవితం ఎలా జీవించాలి అనే విషయాలు తెలుసుకోవడం కోసం భారతీయ కళలు లేకపోతే భారతీయ భాషలు, భారతీయ సనాతన ధర్మము, అలాగే బౌద్ధము, ఇటువంటి విషయాల గురించి తెలుసుకోవడంలో వాళ్ళు చాలా ఆసక్తి చూపుతున్నారని చెప్పారు. నాకు ఇంకొక ఆశ్చర్యకరమైన విషయం ఏం తెలిసిందంటే, ప్రతి జర్మన్ గృహంలో ఒక భారతీయ కావ్యం కానివ్వండి, ఒక పుస్తకం కానివ్వండి తప్పకుండా కనిపిస్తుందని ఆయన చెప్పారు. ఎంత ఆశ్చర్యం కలిగించింది. ఇవాళ మన దేశంలో ఎన్ని గృహాలలో మన ప్రాచీన పుస్తకాలు ఉన్నాయి, వాటి అనువాదాలైనా ఉన్నాయా? నిజంగా అనుకుంటుంటే ఎంత బాధగా ఉంది. ఇతర దేశాల వాళ్ళు మన భాష సంస్కృతిని గురించి, భాషని గురించి అంతగా తెలుసుకోవాలని అనుకుంటున్నప్పుడు మరి మనం మన పిల్లలకి ఎంతవరకు తెలియజేస్తున్నాం, వాటిని గురించి తెలుసుకునే ప్రయత్నం ఎంత చేస్తున్నాం అనిపిస్తుంది. జెన్ గారితో ముచ్చటించిన సందర్భంగా ఆయన అడిగాను, మీరు ఈ ప్రదేశాల్లో ఏం చూడబోతున్నారని. ఆయన చెప్పారు, ప్రాచీన శిలాశాసనాలు, అలాగే కాంస్య ఫలకాలు, వాటిపైన నిక్షిప్తమై ఉన్న ప్రాచీన లిఖితమైనటువంటి ప్రాచీన భాష, ఈ శిలాశాసనాల ద్వారా వాళ్ళకి ఎంతో ప్రాచీన భాష ఎలా ఉండేది, ఆనాటి సంస్కృతి ఎలా ఉండేది, ఆ చరిత్రను గురించి చాలామంది ప్రపంచంలో తెలియని విషయాలు ఎన్నో ఉంటాయి. పాశ్చాత్యులకి ఫిలాసఫీ అంటే తత్వము అంటే కేవలం అక్కడి వరకే ఉండిపోయింది. కానీ ఓన్లీ ఐరోపా ఖండంలో ఉన్నటువంటి తత్వం మాత్రమే తెలుసు. కానీ తత్వశాస్త్రము భారతదేశంలో, చైనాలో, ఇటువంటి దేశాల్లో ఎంతో విస్తృతంగా ఉంది. దానిని గురించి మరింత పరిశోధన చేసి వాటిని ప్రపంచంలో ఎక్కడైనా సరే ఈ తత్వజ్ఞానాన్ని గురించి తెలుసుకోవాలి అని ఆసక్తిగా ఉన్న వాళ్ళందరికీ, ఫిలాసఫీ పట్ల ఆసక్తి ఉన్న ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి అర్థమయ్యే రీతిలో దానిని అంతర్జాలంలో పెట్టాలని ఆయన అనుకుంటున్నట్టుగా చెప్పారు. మనమంతా దండిబట్ల విశ్వనాథ శాస్త్రి గారి గురించి, అట్లాగే మ్యాక్స్ ముల్లర్ అయిన జర్మన్ మోక్ష ముల్లర్గా పిలువబడిన ఆయన గురించి చాలా తెలుసుకున్నాం. దండిబట్ల విశ్వనాథ శాస్త్రి గారిని రెండవ ప్రపంచ యుద్ధ కాలంలో ఒక సంస్కృత శ్లోకానికి అర్థం చెప్పవలసిందిగా జర్మన్లు ఇక్కడి నుంచి తీసుకుని వెళ్ళారు. ఆయన చిత్రపటాన్ని ఇప్పటికీ వారి ల్యాబొరేటరీలో భద్రపరుచుకున్నారు. అదేవిధంగా ఈ భగవద్గీతని, ప్రాచీన కావ్యాలని, మన వీటినన్నిటినీ కూడా ఒక విమర్శనాత్మక దృష్టిలో చూడాలని అనుకున్న మ్యాక్స్ ముల్లర్ దానిని చూసి పరవశించి మోక్ష ముల్లర్గా పేరుగాంచాడన్న విషయం మనందరికీ తెలిసిందే. అట్లాగే అదే దేశం నుంచి ఎంతో ఆసక్తితో మన దేశానికి విచ్చేసినటువంటి జెన్ గారిని కలవడం కూడా ఇవాళ చాలా సంతోషంగా ఉంది. ఇదంతా మీ అందరితో పంచుకోవడం మరింత ఆనందంగా ఉంది.
తెలుగు పీపుల్ ఫేవరెట్ అతిథి దేవోభవ చెప్పారు కదా, ముందు మేము వడ్డించుకున్నాను. In our Indian culture,
don't eat that chutney. Eat it plain because it's a sweet, that's a spicy one.
Okay.
So it may spoil the taste. So just eat this. Just yeah. This is
first we serve the guest in India. After we will wait.